In the untamed wilderness, even the most experienced adventurers can find themselves in life-threatening situations. Imagine being deep in the Siberian forests or the rugged terrain of Kamchatka, facing off against the sheer power of a grizzly or a Kodiak bear. These are encounters where every decision can mean the difference between life and death. In this episode, we delve into real-life stories of unexpected bear attacks that turned routine expeditions into desperate fights for survival. Join us as we explore 6 harrowing tales and uncover the lessons learned from these close encounters with nature's mightiest predators. On July 17, 2024, in the dense forests of Siberia, seasoned hunter Ivan Petrov set out on his annual bear hunting expedition. Ivan, a man in his early 50s, had spent most of his life in the vast wilderness of Siberia. He grew up in a small village near Lake Baikal, one of the most remote and pristine areas in the world. From a young age, Ivan had learned the ways of the forest from his father, who was also a hunter. Over the years, Ivan became known for his skills and deep knowledge of the local wildlife. Hunting was not just a hobby for Ivan, it was a way of life. He respected the animals he hunted and believed in using every part of the animal, from the meat to the fur. His experience and respect for nature made him a respected figure in his community. Each year, Ivan would embark on a hunting trip, carefully planning and preparing for weeks in advance. This year, his goal was to track and hunt a massive grizzly bear that had been spotted in the area. The forests of Siberia are known for their dense trees, rugged terrain, and unpredictable weather. On the morning of July 17th, Ivan set out early, equipped with his rifle, hunting knife, and essential gear. He followed the bear's tracks, which led him deep into the forest. The air was crisp, and the sounds of the forest surrounded him. Ivan moved with caution, his senses sharp, as he knew that grizzly bears were powerful and dangerous animals. As the day progressed, Ivan followed the tracks through thick underbrush and over rocky hills. The hunt required patience and skill, as the bear was elusive. Ivan had been tracking it for hours, and he felt he was getting closer. The bear's tracks were fresh, and Ivan could sense its presence nearby. His heart raced with anticipation as he moved silently through the forest, careful not to make any noise that could alert the bear. Suddenly, the weather changed. A heavy downpour began, the rain falling hard and fast, obscuring Ivan's vision. The forest became darker, and the ground turned muddy and slippery. The sudden change in weather made it difficult for Ivan to see the tracks clearly. He paused, wiping the rain from his face, trying to regain his bearings. The sound of the rain and the rustling leaves around him created a tense atmosphere. Unbeknownst to Ivan, the bear had sensed the danger and circled back. The grizzly, an intelligent and formidable animal, was now stalking the hunter. Ivan focused on the tracks and the rain, and did not realize the bear was approaching from behind. The thick forest and heavy rain masked the bear's movements, allowing it to get closer without being detected. The encounter that followed was sudden and terrifying. The bear, sensing the threat, ambushed Ivan. With a powerful swipe, the bear knocked Ivan to the ground, causing him to drop his rifle. The force of the attack left Ivan dazed and vulnerable. As he struggled to get up, the bear mauled him, its claws and teeth inflicting severe injuries. As Ivan Petrov lay on the ground, severely injured, his instincts for survival kicked in. Despite the intense pain, he reached for his hunting knife, which was strapped to his belt. The bear continued its attack, but Ivan knew he had to act quickly to save his life. With a surge of adrenaline, he managed to stab the bear in its side. The bear roared in pain, momentarily distracted by the injury. Taking advantage of this brief moment, Ivan struggled to his feet and stumbled backward. He knew that he couldn't outrun the bear in his current state, but he needed to create some distance. The bear, wounded and agitated, hesitated for a moment before turning back to face him. Ivan's heart pounded as he assessed his options. He was deep in the Siberian forest, far from help, and the rain continued to pour down, making the situation even more dangerous. Ivan knew he had to find a way to escape or at least deter the bear long enough to get to safety. He backed away slowly, keeping his eyes on the bear, and tried to move toward a denser part of the forest. The thick trees and underbrush might offer some cover and slow the bear's movements. The bear, however, was not easily deterred. It continued to follow Ivan, growling and snarling. With each step, Ivan felt the pain from his injuries intensify. Blood flowed from deep wounds, and his vision blurred. He knew he needed medical attention soon, but he couldn't stop. The bear, sensing its prey was weakened, advanced again. Ivan used his remaining strength to swing his knife, slashing at the bear's face. The blow was enough to make the bear retreat slightly, giving Ivan a few precious seconds. In those critical moments, Ivan spotted a large tree with low branches. Using the last of his energy, he climbed up, pulling himself onto a sturdy branch. The bear, unable to climb, roared in frustration and circled the base of the tree. Ivan knew he was not safe yet, but at least he was out of immediate reach. He clung to the branch, breathing heavily, trying to stay conscious. As the rain continued to fall, Ivan's thoughts raced. He needed to stop the bleeding and get help, but the bear was still below, watching and waiting. Hours passed, and the bear eventually lost interest, retreating into the forest. Ivan waited, unsure if the bear would return before carefully climbing down from the tree. With great effort, Ivan made his way back to his camp. He used a first aid kit to bandage his wounds as best he could. He knew he had to get to a hospital quickly, but the nearest town was miles away. Ivan used his radio to call for help, hoping someone would hear him. The experience left Ivan deeply shaken, and he knew his perspective on hunting had changed forever. He had faced death and survived, and he would never see the animals he once hunted in the same way again. On July 20th, 2022, Emily, an adventurous solo hiker, set out on a summer trek through the pristine wilderness of Kodiak Island, Alaska. Emily was an experienced hiker in her early 30s, known for her love of the outdoors and exploring remote places. She had hiked in various challenging terrains before, from the mountains of Colorado to the deserts of Arizona. This trip to Kodiak Island was something she had been planning for months. Emily meticulously prepared for her journey, researching the best trails and studying the island's unique ecosystem. She was aware of the wildlife, especially the famous Kodiak bears, known for their size and strength. Emily packed all the necessary gear, including a tent, food supplies, a first aid kit, and most importantly, bear spray. She was determined to explore the untouched beauty of the island, with its dense forests, rugged mountains, and clear streams. Kodiak Island, located in the Gulf of Alaska, is renowned for its stunning landscapes and rich wildlife. The island's remote and wild nature made it a perfect destination for Emily's adventure. She arrived on the island with high spirits, eager to begin her trek. The weather was warm and sunny, ideal for hiking. As Emily ventured deeper into the wilderness, she marveled at the natural beauty surrounding her. The lush green forests, the sound of birds, and the sight of eagles soaring overhead filled her with joy. She followed a well-trodden path, enjoying the tranquility and solitude of the journey. The trail led her through valleys and up hills, offering breathtaking views of the island's landscape. By midday, Emily had covered a significant distance and decided to take a break. She found a peaceful spot by a stream and set up a small camp to rest and have lunch. As she sat by the water, she spotted a small bear cub nearby, playing among the trees. The sight was charming, and Emily watched in fascination, unaware of the potential danger. Suddenly, the peaceful scene turned into a nightmare. The cub's mother, a massive Kodiak bear, appeared, sensing a threat to her young. The bear, standing over 10 feet tall on its hind legs, roared and charged toward Emily. The speed and ferocity of the attack left Emily with no time to reach for her bear spray. In a desperate bid for safety, she scrambled up a nearby tree. The bear reached the base of the tree in seconds, slashing at Emily with powerful claws. One swipe left a deep wound on her leg, causing intense pain. Emily, despite the injury, climbed higher, clutching onto the branches as the bear continued its assault from below. The bear roared and pawed at the tree, but Emily managed to stay out of its reach. As the sun began to set, the bear eventually lost interest and moved away, leaving Emily clinging to the tree, injured and shaken. The forest grew dark, and the temperature dropped, but Emily knew she had to stay in the tree for the night. The ordeal was a harsh reminder of the unpredictable nature of the wild and the dangers that come with it. As darkness fell over the dense wilderness of Kodiak Island, Emily remained perched high in the tree, clutching the branches tightly. The pain from her wound throbbed, and she felt the cold air seeping in, chilling her to the bone. She wrapped her arms around herself, trying to stay warm and keep her mind focused. The forest around her was silent, except for the occasional rustling of leaves and distant sounds of wildlife. Emily knew she had to stay alert, fearing the bear might return. The experience had been terrifying, and the reality of her situation was sinking in. She was alone, injured, and far from help. The isolation in the cold night air made the hours drag on. Emily's thoughts drifted to her family and friends, hoping they would not worry too much about her. She had always been cautious on her hikes, but this encounter had been unexpected and dangerous. As the night wore on, Emily did her best to stay awake, but exhaustion eventually overtook her. She dozed off briefly, only to wake with a start at the sound of rustling below. Her heart raced, but she realized it was just a small animal passing by. The relief was short-lived as the reality of spending the night in the tree set in again. She tried to stay calm, knowing that panic would only make things worse. When the first light of dawn appeared, Emily felt a renewed sense of hope. The night had been long and cold, but she had made it through. She carefully climbed down from the tree, her legs shaking from the cold and the effort. The wound on her leg was painful, but she needed to find help. Emily knew she had to get to a safer location where she could tend to her injury and signal for assistance. As she made her way back towards the trail, Emily heard a distant noise. It was the sound of an engine. She hurried towards the source of the noise, limping slightly from her wound. To her immense relief, she saw a park ranger's vehicle approaching. The ranger had been patrolling the area and noticed the signs of a recent bear presence, leading him to investigate further. The ranger quickly assessed Emily's condition and provided first aid, bandaging her wound and giving her water. Emily was overwhelmed with relief and gratitude. The ranger radioed for help, and soon Emily was transported to the nearest medical facility for treatment. The ordeal had been a harrowing experience, a stark reminder of the power and unpredictability of nature. Emily's encounter with the bear left her with a deep respect for the wild and the creatures that inhabit it. The experience had been a test of her endurance and survival skills, one she would never forget. As she recovered, Emily reflected on the importance of being prepared and respectful of the natural world. Her story became a cautionary tale for others, highlighting the need for caution and awareness when venturing into the wilderness. It was July 15th, 2023, when John and his two children, Sarah and Ethan, set out for a family camping trip in Banff National Park, Canada. John, a single father in his early 40s, loved the outdoors and had always enjoyed sharing nature experiences with his children. Banff, known for its stunning landscapes and diverse wildlife, was a favorite destination for them. Sarah, age 12, and Ethan, age 9, were both excited about the adventure, eager to explore the park's trails and enjoy the beauty of the Canadian Rockies. The family arrived at their campsite in the early afternoon. They set up their tent and organized their gear, including a bear-proof food container for their supplies. John had always emphasized safety on their trips, teaching his children about the importance of respecting wildlife and being prepared. After setting up, they spent the day hiking and exploring the area, marveling at the beautiful scenery and spotting various animals from a safe distance. As evening approached, they returned to their campsite to cook dinner. John and the kids enjoyed a meal by the campfire, sharing stories and laughing. The tranquil surroundings and the crackling of the fire created a perfect ending to their day. After dinner, they cleaned up and prepared for bed, making sure to store all food items securely in the bear-proof container. John double-checked everything, ensuring the campsite was safe. However, in the excitement of the day, the latch on the bear-proof container was not fully secured. The scent of their leftover food wafted through the air, unnoticed by the family. As night fell and the temperatures dropped, the family settled into their tent, feeling cozy and content. The stars shone brightly in the clear night sky, adding to the peaceful atmosphere. In the dead of night, the calm was shattered by the sound of rustling and heavy breathing outside the tent. John awoke to see a dark silhouette moving near the tent. His heart raced as he realized a black bear had entered their campsite, attracted by the food. The bear, hungry and curious, had found the unlatched food container and was rummaging through it. Suddenly, the bear turned its attention to the tent, tearing through the fabric with its powerful claws. John acted quickly, grabbing the nearest object he could find, a frying pan. With the bear ripping through the tent, John knew he had to protect his children at all costs. He positioned himself between the bear and his kids, using the frying pan to strike the bear, trying to scare it away. The bear growled and swiped at John, inflicting painful injuries. Despite the pain and fear, John continued to fend off the bear, determined to protect Sarah and Ethan. The children, terrified, huddled together at the back of the tent, watching in shock as their father bravely fought the bear. The situation was dire, and John's actions were fueled by sheer desperation and love for his children. John continued to fend off the bear with the frying pan, each strike more desperate than the last. The bear, agitated and aggressive, clawed at him, causing deep wounds. Despite the pain, John did not back down. His priority was keeping Sarah and Ethan safe. The bear, startled by the unexpected resistance, began to retreat. The noise and commotion had disturbed the quiet night, alerting nearby campers to the danger. Just as the bear started to back away, John gave one final, forceful swing. The bear growled, and deciding the struggle wasn't worth it, turned and lumbered away into the darkness. John, exhausted and bleeding, collapsed inside the tent. The immediate threat had passed, but the family was still in shock and needed help. The nearby campers, hearing the commotion, rushed to the scene. They found the tent partially destroyed and John seriously injured but conscious. Sarah and Ethan, though scared, were unharmed thanks to their father's bravery. The campers quickly called for emergency assistance, and one of them began administering first aid to John. The park rangers arrived promptly, assessing the situation and ensuring the bear was no longer a threat. They transported John to the nearest medical facility in Bamptown for treatment. The injuries were severe, but the medical team acted quickly to stabilize him. The children were also checked for any injuries and comforted by the rangers and campers who had come to their aid. John's quick thinking and courageous actions saved his children from a potentially fatal encounter. News of the incident spread quickly, and John was praised for his bravery. The park authorities reviewed the situation, noting the importance of properly securing food and other scented items while camping to prevent such incidents. In the days that followed, John recovered in the hospital, surrounded by his grateful children. The incident left a lasting impression on the family, highlighting the unpredictable nature of wildlife encounters and the need for vigilance. The park authorities used the event as an educational opportunity, reinforcing safety guidelines and the proper use of bear-proof containers. The family received numerous messages of support from friends and strangers alike, all admiring John's bravery and quick response. The campers who had helped were also thanked for their prompt action in alerting authorities and providing first aid. The experience brought the family closer together, deepening their respect for nature and its powerful inhabitants. As John healed, he reflected on the incident and the lessons learned. The family knew they had been fortunate, and the experience became a story they would share, not just as a cautionary tale, but as a testament to the importance of staying prepared and acting quickly in the face of danger. The memory of that night would stay with them, a reminder of both the beauty and the unpredictability of the wilderness. It was August 10th, 2021, in the Arctic archipelago of Svalbard, Norway, where Dr. Ingrid Lund, a dedicated biologist, was conducting important climate change research. Dr. Lund, a specialist in polar ecosystems, had been studying the effects of rising temperatures on the Arctic environment for over a decade. Her work often took her to remote and challenging locations where she collected data on ice melt, animal populations, and changes in the ecosystem. Ingrid's passion for the Arctic began during her college years when she first visited the region. The stark beauty of the icy landscapes and the unique wildlife captivated her. Over the years, she became an expert in her field, known for her meticulous research and dedication. Her studies contributed valuable insights into the effects of climate change, helping scientists and policymakers understand the urgent need for action. On August 10th, Ingrid was on a routine data collection trip near the edge of a glacier. She was gathering samples of ice and recording observations about the local wildlife. The day was cold and clear, typical for the region, with the vast white landscape stretching out as far as the eye could see. Ingrid was aware of the dangers posed by the harsh environment and the wildlife, particularly polar bears, which were common in the area. Polar bears are the top predators in the Arctic and can be dangerous if they feel threatened or are hungry. Dr. Lund always took precautions to avoid any encounters, carrying a flare gun and keeping her snowmobile ready for a quick escape. She was also trained in emergency protocols, which included recognizing the signs of bear activity and knowing how to respond in case of an encounter. While Ingrid was busy with her work, she noticed signs of a nearby polar bear, a distant figure moving slowly across the ice. Polar bears often roam vast distances in search of food, and Ingrid knew that any encounter with one could be dangerous. She stayed calm and continued her work, keeping an eye on the bear's movements. As the bear came closer, Ingrid realized it was a large, healthy adult. Despite her experience, a sense of unease washed over her. She knew that polar bears could be unpredictable, especially in an environment where food sources were becoming scarce due to melting ice. The bear seemed to notice her and changed its direction, heading straight toward her. Ingrid quickly decided to leave the area and started towards her snowmobile. As she reached it, she noticed the bear was closing in fast. She hurriedly tried to start the snowmobile, but to her dismay, it failed to start. Panic began to set in as the bear came even closer. The animal's size and speed were intimidating, and Ingrid knew she had only seconds to act. With no other options, Ingrid grabbed her flare gun. She fired a flare directly in front of the bear, hoping to startle it. The bright light and noise momentarily blinded the bear, causing it to stop and retreat slightly. Taking advantage of the distraction, Ingrid quickly gathered her equipment and retreated to her camp, her heart pounding with fear and adrenaline. The encounter had been a stark reminder of the dangers present in such a remote and unforgiving environment. After retreating to her camp, Dr. Ingrid Lund quickly secured the area, ensuring all equipment was safe and no food was left accessible. The camp was set up near the Longyearbyen Research Station, one of the northernmost settlements in the world where she could access communication tools and resources. The camp was equipped with a protective fence designed to deter wildlife, especially polar bears, from wandering too close. Ingrid's heart was still racing from the encounter, but she knew she needed to stay calm and assess her situation. She checked her minor injuries, finding only a few scrapes from the frantic retreat. The bear had not followed her to the camp, likely deterred by the flare and the noise. Ingrid took a moment to catch her breath and reflect on the close call. Her first step was to report the incident to the research station. She used the camp's radio to contact the station, explaining what had happened and describing the bear's behavior. The team at Longyearbyen responded promptly, advising Ingrid to remain vigilant and ready to evacuate if necessary. They also informed the local authorities, who monitor wildlife interactions closely, ensuring both human safety and the well-being of the animals. As she waited for further instructions, Ingrid thought about the risks researchers face in such remote areas. The Arctic is not only a harsh and challenging environment, but also a habitat for some of the world's most formidable predators. The incident highlighted the importance of strict safety protocols and constant awareness. Even with years of experience and preparation, the unpredictable nature of wildlife posed significant dangers. The encounter also underscored the impact of climate change on the region. As ice melts and the Arctic environment changes, polar bears are forced to travel farther for food, leading to more frequent interactions with humans. Ingrid's research was crucial in understanding these changes and advocating for conservation efforts. The data she collected would help in developing strategies to protect both the animals and the people working in these areas. Later that day, a team from the research station arrived to check on Ingrid and ensure her safety. They reinforced the camp's perimeter and provided additional supplies, including another flare gun and medical supplies. They commended her quick thinking and calm response, which had prevented a potentially tragic situation. Ingrid remained at the camp for the rest of her assignment, taking extra precautions and staying in close contact with the research station. The experience left a lasting impression on her, reinforcing her commitment to studying the Arctic and raising awareness about the challenges faced by both the environment and its inhabitants. Her work continued to play a vital role in highlighting the need for urgent action to address the effects of climate change on vulnerable ecosystems. It was September 5th, 2022, when wildlife photographer Sergei Ivanov ventured into the rugged terrain of Kamchatka, Russia. Sergei, a renowned photographer in his early 40s, had a passion for capturing the beauty of wildlife in their natural habitats. Born and raised in the outskirts of Moscow, Sergei developed a love for nature early on, spending his childhood exploring forests and observing animals. This passion led him to pursue a career in wildlife photography, where he quickly gained recognition for his stunning images of rare and endangered species. Sergei's work took him to some of the most remote and wild places on Earth, from the African savannas to the icy landscapes of Antarctica. His dedication to capturing the perfect shot often required him to spend weeks in harsh conditions, waiting patiently for the right moment. His photographs not only showcased the beauty of the natural world, but also raised awareness about conservation efforts. For this particular expedition, Sergei was in Kamchatka, a peninsula in the Russian Far East known for its volcanic landscapes and abundant wildlife. His goal was to photograph the elusive Kamchatka brown bear, one of the largest bear species in the world. The bears are known to frequent rivers during salmon season, making this the perfect time for Sergei to capture them in action. He set up camp near a river that was a popular feeding ground for the bears, hoping to photograph them as they caught fish. The location Sergei chose was remote and rugged, surrounded by dense forests and towering mountains. The area was teeming with wildlife, and Sergei was excited about the potential shots he could capture. He carefully set up his equipment, positioning his camera and tripod at a spot with a clear view of the river. He also set up his tent a short distance away, ensuring he had a place to rest and review his photos. The day was clear and crisp, the river's water glistening under the sun. Sergei spent hours focused on his camera, capturing the bears as they fished for salmon. The bears moved with a grace that belied their size, and Sergei marveled at their strength and agility. He was so engrossed in his work that he failed to notice a massive bear silently approaching from behind. By the time Sergei sensed the danger, it was too late. The bear, perhaps feeling threatened or curious, lunged at him. Sergei tried to scramble away, but the bear was too fast. It swiped at his leg, causing severe injuries. Pain shot through Sergei as he struggled to fend off the bear. In a desperate attempt to protect himself, he grabbed his tripod and used it to ward off the bear. The bear's assault was relentless, but Sergei's determination kept him fighting. He managed to crawl toward his tent, leaving a trail of blood behind. His mind raced with fear and desperation, knowing that he needed help fast. As he reached the tent, he grabbed his emergency beacon and set it off, hoping it would alert rescuers to his location. The bear, momentarily distracted by the noise and movement, backed off. Sergei, exhausted and in pain, collapsed inside the tent. The moments that followed were a blur as he waited, hoping that help would arrive before it was too late. His camera, still running, captured the harrowing moments of the encounter, documenting his struggle and the bear's attack. Inside the tent, Sergei Ivanov lay in pain, bleeding from the deep wounds on his leg. The bear had retreated, but the danger was far from over. Sergei's emergency beacon was activated, sending out a distress signal. He knew that the signal would reach the rescue team at the nearby research station, but he wasn't sure how long it would take for help to arrive. The area around the Kamchatka Peninsula is known for its rugged and remote terrain, making it challenging for rescue teams to reach quickly. Sergei tried to stay awake, focusing on his breathing and trying to calm his mind. The pain was intense, and the cold was beginning to set in. He wrapped himself in a sleeping bag, hoping to keep warm and prevent shock. As the minutes passed, Sergei's thoughts turned to his family and friends. He wondered if he would make it out of this ordeal and if anyone would find him in time. The fear of not surviving weighed heavily on his mind, but he tried to stay positive, knowing that his distress signal had been sent. The sound of a helicopter in the distance brought a glimmer of hope. The rescue team was on its way, navigating the challenging landscape of Kamchatka. The helicopter landed nearby, and the rescue team quickly assessed Sergei's condition. They provided first aid, stopping the bleeding and stabilizing him for transport. The team worked quickly, knowing that time was of the essence. Sergei was airlifted to a hospital in Petropavlovsk-Kamchatsky, the largest city on the Kamchatka Peninsula. There, he received immediate medical attention for his injuries. The doctors treated the deep lacerations on his leg and monitored him for signs of infection. Sergei was grateful to be alive, though the experience had left him shaken. The photographs and videos captured during the attack provided a chilling account of the encounter. The footage showed the bear approaching and the desperate moments as Sergei tried to defend himself. These images served as a powerful reminder of the dangers wildlife photographers and researchers face in the field. As Sergei recovered, the story of his encounter with the Kamchatka brown bear spread, highlighting the need for caution and preparedness in remote wilderness areas. The incident underscored the importance of safety protocols and emergency preparedness when working in such unpredictable environments. Sergei's experience left a lasting impact on him, deepening his respect for the wild animals he had dedicated his life to photography. The encounter was a reminder of the power and unpredictability of nature, and the thin line between observer and participant in the wild. Sergei knew he would return to the field, but with a renewed awareness of the risks and a commitment to safety. It was October 12th, 2022, when Anna, a seasoned backpacker, set out on a solo hike through the picturesque trails of the Pyrenees in Spain. Anna, in her late 30s, had spent years exploring the world's most stunning landscapes. Her love for the outdoors began in her childhood, growing up in the rural areas of Asturias, where she often ventured into the nearby mountains. This early exposure to nature ignited a passion for hiking and backpacking that continued into adulthood. Over the years, Anna had hiked in various challenging terrains, from the rugged peaks of the Alps to the deep forests of the Pacific Northwest. Her extensive experience has made her confident in navigating through different environments. She was well prepared for her adventures, always packing the necessary gear and studying the terrain beforehand. This particular journey through the Pyrenees was something she had been planning for months, eager to explore the region's beautiful landscapes and rich biodiversity. The Pyrenees, a mountain range that forms a natural border between Spain and France, is known for its stunning scenery, diverse wildlife, and challenging trails. The area is home to brown bears, which had been reintroduced to the region to boost the population. Anna was aware of the bears and had taken precautions, such as carrying bear spray and keeping her food secured. She also knew the importance of being vigilant and respectful of wildlife, especially in areas where bears were known to roam. On the morning of October 12th, the weather was perfect for hiking. The sky was clear and the air was crisp with the scent of pine trees. Anna set out early, eager to make the most of the day. She followed a well-marked trail that led her through dense forests, past crystal-clear streams, and up steep inclines offering breathtaking views of the surrounding mountains. The peacefulness of the forest and the beauty of the landscape filled her with a sense of joy and tranquility. As the day progressed, Anna found herself deep in a forested area. The thick canopy overhead filtered the sunlight, casting dappled shadows on the forest floor. The trail became narrower and less defined, but Anna's experience allowed her to navigate confidently. She was alert, listening to the sounds of the forest and watching for any signs of wildlife. It was during this section of the hike that Anna unknowingly walked into a potentially dangerous situation. She stumbled upon a female bear with her cubs, who were hidden among the bushes. The bear, sensing a threat to her young, reacted instinctively. Before Anna could fully comprehend the situation, the bear charged at her. The sudden appearance and aggressive behavior of the bear caught Anna off guard, but she quickly realized the danger she was in. Anna reached for her trekking poles, which were strapped to her backpack. She used them to create a barrier between herself and the bear. The bear was relentless, trying to protect her cubs from what she perceived as a threat. Anna swung her poles, trying to keep the bear at a distance, but the animal managed to get close enough to bite her leg. The pain was intense, but Anna knew she couldn't panic. She needed to stay calm and find a way to escape. Spotting a nearby rock outcrop, Anna decided to climb it, hoping to reach a safer position. Using her trekking poles for support, she scrambled up the rocks, her leg throbbing from the bite wound. She reached the top and looked down to see the bear still pacing below, clearly agitated but unable to reach her. Anna sat on the outcrop, catching her breath and assessing her injuries, knowing she had to wait until the bear lost interest and left. Perched on the rock outcrop, Anna carefully examined her injuries. The bear's bite had left a deep wound on her leg, and the pain was sharp and unrelenting. She knew that she needed to clean and bandage the wound to prevent infection, but her immediate concern was ensuring the bear would not return. The female bear continued to pace below, watching Anna with protective eyes. Anna understood that the bear was likely worried for her cub's safety and would not leave until she felt the threat was gone. Hours passed as Anna remained on the outcrop, the adrenaline slowly fading, leaving her feeling exhausted and sore. The sun began to set, casting long shadows through the forest. Anna knew she needed to signal for help, but she also realized that moving too soon might provoke the bear. She stayed as still as possible, hoping that the bear would eventually move on. As dusk settled, the bear finally retreated with her cubs, disappearing into the dense forest. Anna waited a little longer to ensure they were truly gone. The forest grew quiet, the only sound being the rustling of leaves and the distant calls of birds. Anna carefully climbed down from the outcrop, her leg aching with every step. She made her way back to her backpack, where she retrieved her first aid kit. With trembling hands, she cleaned the wound and applied a bandage, trying to stay as calm as possible. Anna knew she needed to get help, but the remote location made it challenging. She decided to use her reflective blanket, a piece of emergency gear she always carried. The blanket could be used to signal rescuers or passing hikers by reflecting sunlight or flashlight beams. Anna found an open area near the trail and spread the blanket out, hoping it would catch someone's attention. As night fell, Anna wrapped herself in the blanket to stay warm. The temperature dropped quickly in the mountains, and the cold began to seep into her bones. She felt a mix of relief and anxiety, relieved that the immediate danger had passed, but anxious about being found in the dark wilderness. She stayed alert, listening for any sounds that might indicate help was on the way. Fortunately, a group of hikers passing through the area noticed the reflective blanket and came to investigate. They found Anna exhausted and in pain and quickly assessed the situation. The hikers had a satellite phone and contacted emergency services, providing them with the exact location. The rescue team arrived shortly after, transporting Anna to the nearest medical facility for treatment. Anna's experience in the Pyrenees was a sobering reminder of the unpredictability of nature. Her encounter with the bear highlighted the importance of being aware of one's surroundings and prepared for any situation. Despite her injuries, Anna felt grateful to have survived the ordeal. The incident also underscored the need for proper education and awareness about wildlife safety, especially in areas where humans and animals coexist closely. Anna's story became a cautionary tale for other hikers and adventurers, emphasizing the respect and caution needed when venturing into the wild.